Everyone in Maple Ridge Estates knew one simple truth: if Karen King saw it, she reported it. She wasn't officially part of the HOA board anymore. She'd been voted out 2 years prior after a spectacular meltdown over the unauthorized shade of blue on the Martinez family's mailbox. But losing her board seat didn't stop her from policing trash can placement, porch decor, how long someone lingered at their mailbox, or whether someone's grass was looking a little communist, as she once accused Mr. Huang of. Karen patrolled the neighborhood with her trademark weapon, a cracked pink clipboard covered in faded stickers saying things like "Covenant Keeper" and "Rules are respect." She claimed the clipboard made her look official, though everyone knew it was just a prop to make her feel powerful. Behind her oversized sunglasses, she scanned houses like a hawk, jotting notes that she would later email to the real HOA board, often with grainy photos attached. At first, people brushed off her behavior as annoying but mostly harmless. Maple Ridge had always had its quirks, and Karen was one of them. But this year something felt different. Families started receiving anonymous violation warnings about things so trivial it bordered on absurd. A kid's bicycle left on a lawn for 12 minutes. A birthday banner hung 1 day longer than planned. A garden gnome that may cause property value degradation. The HOA board denied sending most of these notices. Yet somehow, Karen knew everything happening on every street. Sometimes at times no one had seen her around. She would approach neighbors with disturbingly specific comments like, "I saw you brought in your recycling bin at 8:42 p.m. technically after quiet hours," or "Your husband got home at 11:13 last night. Visiting friends after 10 requires board approval." People laughed at first. Then they stopped laughing. Because these weren't the comments of someone simply watching from a window. She had details only someone with close range, real-time access could know. Things she simply couldn't see from strolling the sidewalks. Rumors began swirling: maybe she had a drone. Maybe she hacked someone's Ring doorbell. Maybe she had teamed up with the notoriously nosy mailman. But it was the Hendersons, the newest family in the neighborhood, who finally uncovered something concrete. It began when their 6-year-old, Ellie, noticed a blinking light near the base of their maple tree. She thought it was a fairy. Her mother, Olivia, thought it was a dying firefly. It wasn't. When Olivia crouched down and brushed back the leaves, she froze. It was a small black device no bigger than a chapstick tube, with a tiny lens pointed directly at their front porch. A camera. A camera they had never installed. And Maple Ridge Estates was about to discover just how far Karen had gone, when Olivia showed the camera to her husband Daniel that evening. He turned it over in his hands like it was a live grenade. It wasn't a cheap toy. This was a professional-grade micro-camera. The kind used for discreet security monitoring. The discovery should have triggered panic. But what Daniel felt instead was a deep, steadying anger. Someone had planted surveillance on their property. And only one person in the neighborhood was obsessed enough to do it. The Hendersons brought the camera to the next impromptu cul-de-sac meeting, a gathering that happened so often. Lately it might as well have been on the official HOA calendar. Neighbors circled around as Daniel placed the device on a patio table. A collective gasp spread through the group, followed by an explosion of overlapping whispers. "I knew she was watching us," muttered Mrs. Alvarez. "Karen's lost her mind," said Mark Chen, shaking his head. But it was retired engineer Jim Reynolds who delivered the key revelation. He picked up the device, inspected it, and said, "I've seen this model. It transmits footage to a remote receiver. Someone nearby is collecting it." Everyone looked in the same direction without speaking, toward the beige stucco house with perfectly trimmed hedges and a wreath that said, "Home is where the rules are." Karen's house. But before anyone could storm off with pitchforks, Jim raised his hand. "We need proof. Real, undeniable proof. If we confront her without evidence, She'll deny everything and somehow turn the situation against us. They agreed to investigate carefully. And then, as if fate wanted to confirm their suspicions, the next clue appeared the very next morning. 5-year-old Milo Denton tripped while running behind his mother's hydrangeas. His fall dislodged another small camera taped to the underside of a decorative rock. That same afternoon, the Martinez kids found one hidden inside their front yard. Birdhouse, its lens peeking out like a sinister little eye. Within 48 hours, the neighborhood had uncovered 9 separate cameras. Every device had the same brand. Every device was placed facing private porches, windows, garages, and driveways. And every device appeared recently installed. The tipping point came when Mark discovered one aimed directly through his living room window, from inside his rose bushes. He marched it to the cul-de-sac meeting, holding the camera like a severed head from battle. "This is it," he said. "We confront her tonight. Together." The neighbors agreed. And Karen had no idea what was coming. By sunset, nearly 30 residents marched toward Karen King's house, forming what could only be described as the politest angry mob in suburban history. People brought evidence, cameras in Ziploc bags, printed pictures of devices discovered in their shrubs, even screenshots from the few neighbors tech-savvy enough to detect unusual Wi-Fi signals pinging their networks. Karen stepped outside just as the crowd reached her driveway. She clutched her pink clipboard to her chest like a shield. Her eyes darted from face to face, confusion flickering briefly before morphing into defensiveness. "What's the meaning of this?" she demanded. "If this is about the Wilsons' illegal stair pumpkin display, I already emailed the board." "It's about this," said Olivia, holding up the original camera. Karen blinked. Pen. "It's a surveillance camera," Daniel said. "Found on our property. And we found more. Lots more." Whispers rippled through the group as neighbors displayed the growing collection of hidden cameras. Karen's face paled, then flushed red. That's ridiculous. Anyone could have put those there." "Every single one is the same model," Jim said calmly. "And they all transmit on a frequency originating from your home." That silenced the entire yard. Karen opened her mouth, closed it, then jabbed her clipboard toward them. "I was trying to keep the neighborhood safe. You all leave your garages open, your porch lights off. Your packages out too long, someone had to look out for Maple Ridge. By spying on us?" Mark shouted. Karen puffed up. "It's not spying if it's safety monitoring." "Yes," Olivia said, stepping forward. "It is." Then came the moment that broke everything. Jim pulled out a small receiver, a signal tracer he'd brought as a precaution. He powered it on. The device let out a steady beep, then grew louder and louder, the closer he moved to Karen's garage door. When he placed it directly against the door, the receiver shrieked like an alarm. Gasps erupted. Karen panicked. "Stop. You can't go in there, my garage is private property." "Then open it," Daniel said. She refused. So Mark pressed the HOA emergency compliance button on his phone. A board member, who, ironically, despised Karen, arrived minutes later. With their authority, the garage was opened. Inside, on a folding table, sat a laptop displaying live feeds from every hidden camera. Karen sank to her knees. And the neighborhood realized they were only just beginning to uncover the truth. The next morning, Maple Ridge Estates was buzzing like a shaken beehive. News of Karen's illegal surveillance spread faster than free cookies at a block party. By 10 a.m., everyone knew. Karen hadn't just monitored streets or driveways, she'd been watching people. Their families. Their routines. Their private moments. The HOA board called an emergency town hall in the community center. The place hadn't been this full since the great pool float debate of 2019, neighbors packed into metal folding chairs as the board members, stiff and uncomfortable, sat at the front table. Karen arrived escorted by 2 board members, clutching her clipboard even though her pen was visibly shaking. Murmurs followed her like a shadow. She sat alone. At the front of the room, HOA President Diana Moore cleared her throat. We're here to discuss serious violations discovered on the property of Karen King. Evidence indicates. Mark interrupted. There were live feeds. Diana sighed. Yes. Evidence confirms she installed surveillance devices across multiple private properties without consent. This is a breach of privacy, community trust, and state law. Karen shot up from her seat. I did it for all of you. Packages were being stolen. Cars were being rifled through. I was protecting the neighborhood because the board refused to take action. We filed police reports, someone called. You ignored them. Karen snapped. So I created a better system. A safer system. You created a spy network, Olivia said. The board displayed photographs of every camera recovered, now totaling 14, along with stills from the laptop feeds. People gasped seeing images of themselves, walking dogs, unlocking doors, talking on porches, even adjusting clothing near windows. Karen tried one last defense. None of you understand the responsibility of maintaining order. Order isn't the same as control, Jim said firmly. The board voted unanimously. Karen was banned from all community areas. Fined the maximum allowed. Ordered to remove all remaining devices. And referred for police investigation. The vote passed with 0 dissent. But the final blow came from the neighbors themselves. One by one, people stood and told their stories, moments they felt watched, judged, violated. Even those who once tolerated. Karen now saw the truth. She'd crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. When she finally left the community center, clipboard hanging limply at her side, Maple Ridge didn't cheer. It didn't need to. They were already planning the next step, rebuilding trust. And for the first time in years, the neighborhood felt truly free.